happening, people? It's your girl Minna. Welcome back to my channel. You already know what it is. Listen, big up to everyone locked in on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. I hope you lot are doing well. You lot know the rules. You lot know the rules. When you come in, say hi to everyone in the chat, send your greetings, hit the like button, and get involved in the conversation. Now, before we actually get into it, quick public service announcement. Pinned in the chat is the link to my new gaming channel for this upcoming season. September onwards, I'm doing all my gaming content, whether it's short videos, whether it's shorts, whether it's live streams. All my gaming content will be there. It's called Minna Gaming HQ. So please, guys, it takes 2 seconds. It really takes 2 seconds. Go over and just subscribe on the channel if you're into gaming, if you are into content, or if you just want to support another route of mine. Big up to everyone. Listen, be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe. If you want to join the Minions gang, you can. It's in the bio of this video. Usually it's pinned, but today I've pinned the new channel. So it's in the bio of this. You can join the membership club. It's, you get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. Of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can by sending in super chats with your comments, with your thoughts, with your questions, or just to show some love. You know what it is, man. Today is Tuesday. Now, normally Tuesdays is a snooze fest. There's not really usually much to talk about, but today we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Manchester United transfer news. The race for Ugarte is starting to heat up. Manchester United lose out on reportedly a target of theirs in Sander Berg. They also lose out on the opportunity of selling Scott McTominay to a Premier League club, but there is still options elsewhere in Napoli, etc., as well as potential new destinations. I'm saying potential new destination for Jadon Sancho, as Chelsea are reportedly interested in signing him. We're going to get to that because it makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense. But we are going to talk a lot about the transfers, potential transfers. But I think that a lot of the stream today will be focused on the open heart surgery that Ralph Rangnick referenced a couple of years ago when he spoke about it. If you lot remember, just before Erik ten Hag came in, he spoke about the fact that the club, or the entire club, not just the players and what's happening on the pitch, but the entire club needed open heart surgery. And we're going to talk about that because there's rumored, I think, the biggest news over the next 10 or so days will be a lot of outgoings for Manchester United. I think we might get one more player in through the door, 2 if United are lucky, but I think a lot of it will be about outgoings, and that's the most important thing. So be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. You guys know this is what he said just before departing Manchester United. The problems are not minor cosmetic things, i.e. that's in reference, I think, to players, i.e. it's not just the players that need to be fixed. This is an open heart operation. Man United needed to lay flat on the operating table and an open heart surgery to try and restart the mechanisms of what makes this a successful club. That's really what he was trying to get at. Now we're going to start talking about that, but before we get into that, I'm gonna quickly go through some interview that Bruno Fernandes did. Bruno Fernandes did an interview and he spoke about why he chose to extend with Manchester United. And he said, I said to them, I don't need you to promise me that we're going to win the league because no one can promise that, but at least that we will have a team to compete throughout the season to achieve silverware. He then went on to say, the club made an effort for me to stay. They knew my first choice was to stay at the club, and it's not only mine but also a family choice because we feel at home here. So it kind of supports, I guess, the conversation that was flying around a month or so ago when the transfer window opened, where there was rumors about Bruno Fernandes potentially leaving Manchester United. And if you don't remember, a lot of the talk of him leaving Manchester United was because he wanted to potentially win silverware. People were saying that he was looking for a new contract at the club. But I think this is a real important part, and it's very true. It's very true. Nobody can promise silverware. No one can promise trophies. But the fact that the club has promised to create a team that will compete to at least win silverware or attempt to win silverware, I think that's near as best as you're going to get. At the end of the day, Ineos cannot guarantee Bruno Fernandes that he will lift the Premier League. They cannot guarantee him that he will lift the Champions League in a Manchester United shirt. But what they can guarantee is that they will put all the things in place to make it as far as possible for that to happen. And how is that done? That is done by not only buying players, but also selling players, getting rid of players that bring no value or benefit to the team. It means bringing in the best coaching staff. It means bringing in the best in class as a DOF, as a CEO, as a technical director. It means putting your money where your mouth is and extending the contract of a player who you might deem as important. Now, I know when Bruno's reported extension was out in the news, I know a lot of people suggested it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Ineos should not be going against this wage structure that they're trying to now build to give Bruno a big contract, especially as he approaches the latter stages of his career. But this also shows to me that Ineos see Bruno Fernandes as a key component to creating that team that will compete. Now, Bruno, stats say it. Stats say it. And even in the eye test, it says it. How important he is for Manchester United in that final third when it comes to creating chances, whether it's through assists, whether it's pre-assists, all of that kind of stuff. I absolutely understand why Ineos would have chose to keep him and give him that contract. But listen, let's get into this. And Shabazz says, what's this open heart talk on about Mina? Talk about our title charge. You lot are trolls, man. You lot are trolls. But big up to everyone in the chat. Be sure to get involved and be sure to hit the like button as you come through. But we're going to start with this. We're going to start with the open heart surgery that Ralf Rangnick referenced a couple seasons ago before when he was here as the interim manager. Since then, Manchester United have definitely undergone heart surgery, open heart surgery. There's no way anyone can look at Man United over the last 2 or 3 seasons and think, yeah, they've not changed anything and everything's still the same. They've lost a lot of players on freeze. They've brought in new players, but if we were to solely speak, and this is solely focused, guys, on Ineos, because I'm judging Ineos based on this summer transfer window. Ineos have managed to get players off the book, whether it's in wages or get money in transfer fees. Now, I know a lot of people are saying Man United have not sold that much this season. You're right. They've sold a few players, but they've not made that much money. They've sold about 60 million euros worth of players. That's about 51 million pounds. And who did that come from? Number 1, Mason Greenwood. Number 2, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Number 3, Willy Camboala. Number 4, Alvaro Fernandez. Number 5, Donny van der Beek. That's the 5 players that Manchester United have sold. And I definitely think there's going to be more in the next week or so. And then all the players that they've managed to free up wage space on their P&L, on their salary costs, with the likes of Rafael Varane, Omari Forson, Anthony Martial, and Brandon Williams. So that's the 4 people here, as you guys can see. Now, obviously, a big chunk of that comes from, I would say, Rafa Varane and Martial's wages and what has been freed up so far. But this is the logic of, I think, an open heart surgery. It's not just about selling players. It's also about getting the wages off the book. That is equally as important. Now, if we were to focus just on this transfer window and what Ineos have done thus far, well, I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Manchester United, oh wait, no, this is the wrong part. But Manchester United are braced for offers for players up until the transfer deadline day. There's some players that they will be expecting potential interest. There are some players that they are expecting potential bids in, potential fees in, and potential transfers. And that's what we're going to talk about today, as well as we're going to talk about, obviously, the incomings. Now, this was what I was meant to say. Sorry to break it to you guys. But Laurie Whitwell has confirmed this morning that Manchester United are said to have decided against pursuing another fullback. That means the 4 people you lot see on screen right now are the fullbacks for the season. Harry Amas, I think, is missing from there, but he's probably fifth choice fullback in the instance that there's absolutely nobody to play. And I know that there has been talk about Marcus Alonso. There's been talk about Hermoso. There's been talk about potentially Ben Chilwell, etc., etc. But I think this has kind of confirmed where Manchester United's head's at, because we're going to get to it in particular when we speak about people like Scott McTominay, etc. But Man United's priority is evidently getting Manuel Ugarte. I think if Man United sell Scott McTominay or they don't, I don't think they're that fussed. I think they're more fussed about selling players such as Hannibal, such as Facundo Pellistri, etc. Players that they can sell with a big sell-on clause. Now, just quickly on Facundo Pellistri, if I can bring that up on the screen right now, can I? No, I can't. But just quickly on Facundo Pellistri, Manchester United have agreed a bid or a fee of 6.5 million euros for Facundo Pellistri. You lot are probably thinking, why is that so low? Because he's got senior experience. He's played for United. He's a regular international for Uruguay. Manchester United have agreed a 40 to 45% sell-on clause. And I think that is the biggest thing for Man United when it comes to selling smaller assets. When I say smaller assets, I'm talking about younger players that could potentially go on to become important players. I think that is the most important thing, number one. Number two, Man United are also looking at options for this guy here, Hannibal Mejbri. Now, Burnley are interested in him, but obviously Manchester United do not want to go on to sell a player or to send him out on loan again with no guarantee that they'll be able to sell him. Why? Because if you don't remember, Hannibal went on loan a couple seasons ago to Birmingham City. He came back to Manchester United, never got a real chance in the first team. He tried, but he didn't succeed. Went out on loan again in the latter stages of last season and really was on the bench a lot. So now Manchester United are trying to find a way to protect themselves for a guaranteed transfer. Why? By potentially accepting a loan with an obligation to buy for Hannibal. To Burnley, Championship football, maybe that's their level. Maybe that's his level. That's a massive sell-on. It's the sell-on percentage, I think, that they've been trying to implement for a lot of people they sold. Mason Greenwood has a similar sell-on percentage. I think Facundo Pellistri, Alvaro Fernandez, Ethan Laird when he was sold. What's his name as well? Zidane Iqbal, another player when he was sold. And that is probably why a lot of these players, you lot are probably thinking, why are they going for such small values? Because Manchester United are actually gambling or betting on the prospect of them becoming not a superstar, but for them to become an influential player for the team, that they end up generating interest from other teams and go on to be sold for 20, 30, 40 million. If Facundo Pellistri pops off at Panathinaikos 2 seasons in, and he ends up going to another club in Europe, like in Italy or something, and he goes for like 35, 40 million, Manchester United will end up with 40 to 45% of that transfer fee. They will end up with that. And I think that's a positive. And that's been the discourse going around a lot, guys, about why Manchester United are selling academy products for such a cheap price. 10 to 12 million loss on Pellistri. Yeah, I say this all the time. In that window, or those 2 windows that Manchester United brought people like Hannibal, they brought in Pellistri, they brought in Ahmad, they brought in Garnacho, they brought in Alvaro Fernandez. Some of them, they brought them in for big fees. If you don't remember, Man United brought Ahmad for 19 million with add-ons that took it to nearly 30-something million. They brought in Hannibal for 10 million. They brought in Facundo for like 14 or 17 million or something like that. They brought players in for quite a high fee for an academy prospect. Obviously, it was also impacted by Brexit. Brexit also impacted that. United were trying to bring in talents quickly before 2020, before the Brexit rules came into place. Now, for me, the most important thing, I'm not going to lie, is I'll look at this right now for Manchester United and the players that they've sold. Even if we were to go back to last season, if we quickly go back to last summer transfer window and just look at what academy players were sold for, I remember there was a whole upheaval. Zidane Iqbal was sold for 1 million euros. Kovar was sold for 5 million euros. Anthony Elanga, decent price. He went for 17.5 million. Other than that, Nobody else went for a big fee. No one else really went for a big fee. And with Manchester United selling a lot of these younger prospects, I think is betting on the idea that they go on to become a success, and the future Manchester United 2, 3, 4 seasons from now can benefit from it financially. You're seeing how when United bought Joshua Zirkzee, Bologna were trying to hold out for that release clause because they had a sell-on clause on that they had to pay to the club that they brought Joshua Zirkzee from. So you kind of see how it pans out. Do I expect Hannibal to go on and come back from loan and become a Man United player? I don't think so. Unfortunately, I don't think so. And I think Manchester United can see that as well. And the same is applicable with Facundo Pellistri as well. And the reason why I say that is because as much as I think Facundo Pellistri, okay, he's a senior player that gets playing time at Uruguay, I would anyone actually say that he would be a difference maker at Manchester United had he played consistently? Just because somebody isn't a difference maker at Manchester United doesn't mean that they're not a good player. They're just not right for Manchester United. That's just my opinion. I like Zidane Iqbal is an example. Zidane Iqbal is an example. Kovar is an example. Alvaro Fernandes, who I thought really high of, is an example. I think Alvaro Fernandes, though, just didn't really get a fair shot. He didn't really get a fair shot. On other midfielders, it's reported, obviously, we know what's happening right now with Fulham and Sanderberg and Scott McTominay. They've pulled out of the race for Scott McTominay. Now he is waiting for Napoli. Now, I thought it was the kind of impression, that he was leaning towards Fulham. But the reason why Fulham walked away from this is because Scott McTominay was waiting for other prospects. He had interest from Turkish teams, but he also has a lot of interest from Napoli. Obviously, Napoli is in Champions League football. They are contenders for Serie A. So he was waiting on that. And as a result, Fulham walked. And they went and signed Sanderberg. He's in London today doing his medical for 20 million plus 5 in add-ons, which is a similar thing that was rejected from Manchester United, reportedly from Burnley. If Scott McTominay does not leave, guys, it will not hinder his future at Manchester United. I.e., I don't think he will go on to ride the bench non-stop and not be a rotation option. I really don't think that. And the reason why I said that is because I've sat here time and time again, I've sat here saying that if it was up to Erik ten Hag, he would keep Scott McTominay. I've said it all the time. If it was up to Erik ten Hag, he would keep Scott McTominay. I feel like he'll be gone in a year, yeah, but I'm saying for this season, he's not going to be pushed aside. He will still get to play. Because I think Erik ten Hag has been keen on the prospect of him. You know, people say that he saved Erik ten Hag's job last season. I think he scored important goals, but to say he saved Erik ten Hag's season is a bit far-fetched. I said it time and time again, and I think someone was alluding to it yesterday, that Erik ten Hag would keep him if it was up to him. Now, Manchester United now find themselves in a position where they could have possibly, lost out on the opportunity of pure FFP profit. They've lost out on that opportunity. Now, do you guys think it's fair? Do you guys think it's fair for Manchester United to wait to try and get 25, 30 million, etc.? Or do they just accept what they're given? Now, Napoli, there's no guarantee that Napoli will pay 25 to 30 million for Scott McTominay. There is no guarantee. Absolutely no guarantee. However, if Man United could negotiate something, I think the most important thing is if Manuel Ugarte joins Manchester United on a loan with an obligation to buy, then selling Scott McTominay would free up the opportunity to bring in another player. I think there's always been the funds for Ugarte there, and we're going to talk about Ugarte because I feel a kind of way about a loan. I do feel a kind of way about a possible loan with an obligation to buy. Let me actually get to that. Because obviously we know what the biggest news is. Fabrizio reported yesterday, I think it was like 11 p.m. UK time. I was going to go live, guys, but I just thought, you know what? Let me save that for tomorrow's stream. Fabrizio Romano reported that Manchester United were now exploring and in talks with PSG with a loan that has an obligation to buy to sign Manuel Ugarte. I guess it's a win-win situation for both teams. Man United get their guy, PSG get him off the books for the season, and then they get a guaranteed transfer next summer. Now, imagine he comes to Man United and he does not fit the system, or he doesn't fit into the philosophy, but you're still forced to buy him. Now, again, it's a short-term solution for a long-term problem, but it also means that Manchester United's budget next season will, I wouldn't say drastically fall, but it will be 40 or so million less, depending on what the price is, obviously, for Manuel Ugarte. It means that their transfer fee or transfer budget will be slightly less next summer because they now have to budget for signing Manuel Ugarte. On the flip side, they might also be able to sell players next summer. Harry Maguire is approaching, this is his last year of his contract, but he's got an option. So Man United might trigger that and then try sell him next summer. Christian Eriksen could leave this summer, and Man United are reportedly looking for 5 million, and Ajax are interested. So if they're able to get rid of him, that will free up more wages on the books. It's not necessarily a bad thing getting him with a loan with an obligation to buy. But my only thought is, what if it doesn't work? What if he doesn't work? But then I could also look at it on the flip side and say, well, what if Man United brought him this summer and he didn't work out? What then? I have said this time and time again, and I will always kind of stick to this. I will always kind of stick to this notion that I think Manchester United need more than one midfielder this window. They need a first phase midfielder. They need someone in build up. It's all good and dandy having a destroyer, having a Casemiro. I think actually Casemiro can. I think Casemiro's play a bit better for United, playing a bit more advanced. I don't think he's got the agility and the youthness in his body to play as the lone six, as a destroyer. But I do think Manuel Ugarte coming in the final part of the window by himself will not fully solve all of Manchester United's problems in midfield. And that is just my opinion. Let me know if you guys, by the way, agree or not. Let me know what is the best course of action for the summer transfer window right now. Now that Sanderberg is off the books, now that Scott McTominay's future is still uncertain, now that Man United look likely to get Emmanuel Ugarte on a loan, like I said, I always think that the fees or the budget for Manuel Ugarte was there this season, and I think that selling Scott McTominay would have meant it would free up an opportunity to sign one more player, whether it was a fullback, whether it was, a forward, etc. But I also think there's no urgency from Manchester United to sell Scott McTominay because I actually think he's rated at Manchester United. I genuinely think that. I think there's no urgency to sell him, because if there was urgency to sell him, Manchester United would have run with that 25 million fee. They would have run with the 20 million fee, whatever it was that Fulham offered the second time round. But I don't think there's any urgency to sell him. And again, it's not because I think he's a good footballer. It's not because I think he makes a heap of difference for Manchester United. I just think that there's maybe people at Manchester United that rate him a lot more than what fans rate him. And he maybe makes a difference at Manchester United than what we see. When what we see is just the 90 minutes on the pitch, the 11 versus 11 part of a game. But I think as a person, Scott McTominay probably gives the aura and the vibe of what they want an academy player to be like coming into the first team. You want someone that works hard. You want someone that is always given 100% in training. You want someone, again, I'm not talking about football stuff. I'm just trying to make sense of why is there no urgency from Manchester United to sell a player like Scott McTominay, knowing that potentially getting 20-25 million for him would free up an opportunity to sign a new possible prospect. Now that Manchester United has kind of pushed aside the notion of signing another fullback, it kind of makes me think that they don't expect money to come in for Scott McTominay, and they probably don't expect to sell him. Really, the only cemented offers that he's had was from Fulham. Napoli have sniffed around. Fenerbahce have sniffed around, but no one has come in and made an honest and legit bid. And that further kind of, I don't care if Napoli's sporting director or whatever his name is in the UK right now, in England right now, trying to agree personal terms with Scott McTominay. Until you put a bid on the table, then you're not really interested in the player. Until you're in negotiations with the club, you're not really interested in the player. Put your money where your mouth is. And that's why I think Man United are pushing aside the idea of signing a fullback, because there's no urgency from them to sell Scott McTominay, because they know selling Scott McTominay would free up financial cap, if you want to say, or bring in 20-25 million extra to sign that fullback. But now it's like, if we sell him, we sell him. If we don't, we don't. Big up MUFC 14 with the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Says, are we praising Spin? Are we praising Spinios for players running down their contracts? In this case, Woodward and Co should be praised too. They must move the fat cats. I don't think there's any praise for anyone that runs down a contract. If Man United, or any club, by the way, allow players to run down their contract, I think that is more so because the player has power. You think back to when Arsenal, I don't know if you lot remember when Arsene Wenger left Arsenal, and he was working for UEFA. I remember he did a talk where he said, we're going to see more players running down their contracts in football and then signing with clubs for free, because players are probably tired of clubs pricing them out of a move. I remember he said this, and I wholeheartedly agreed with it at the time. It's something that you see a lot, by the way, in basketball. If any of you lot watch basketball, you know that the free agency market is always a very entertaining market, especially when there's a lot of superstars on the free agency list. Most recently, LeBron James, he opted out of his contract with the Lakers. He opted out of his contract. He had, I think, a 2-year extension option that he could pick up, and he opted out of it to become a restricted free agent so that he can negotiate new terms with the Lakers and get the kind of contract he did. And what did he do, by the way? He made sure his son got signed to the Lakers. He made sure the Lakers drafted his son, and then he signed a new contract. That is called having power, player power. That is a perfect example of that. You look at, by the way, Real Madrid, what they did with Kylian Mbappe. They weren't forced into making a move for him because they already had an agreement with the player. And what happened to PSG? Player power won. Player power won. They didn't want to sell. They didn't want to sell him to Real Madrid, or weren't making it easy for Real Madrid to buy him. So what did he do? He said, fine, I'm just going to run my contract down. And I think that's going to become the new norm in football. It's already becoming a norm, by the way, but I think it's going to become more regular to allow players to have more control over, their future. Because right now, for example, Scott McTominay, right? It's a bad example, but for example, Scott McTominay. Right now, he doesn't really have a lot of options because Manchester United have put a 30 million price tag on his head right here. They've put 30 million, and it's whoever wants to pay that price can get him. He can wait for Fulham to make a 25 million bid, and Man United could consider to accept it, but he won't accept personal terms with them because he's waiting to see if there's other clubs that are going to come and pay the 30 million. In the end, Fulham gets tired. They go and sign another player. And Manchester United find themselves back at square one. And Scott McTominay is probably thinking, you know what? I could actually just leave next season and Napoli might be more willing to take me because I'm going to be free to them. And I get a signing on bonus. So I'm not praising Ineos for anybody running down their contract. For me, it just shows, I guess, a stubbornness. Because I'm not going to lie. Yes, Scott McTominay is worth 30 million when I look at what other midfielders are going for in the market. But also, your own target just got snuffed right under your nose. Sanderberg got snatched right under Manchester United's nose because of Scott McTominay. Alphonso Davies is next to go Madrid on a free. Yeah, exactly. He's probably going to go there on a free as well. Juve were the OG free signing merchants. Facts. We have to remember Ashworth has only been here for a month. We have to remember that too as well. How long until you judge Ineos and the directors in place on what they've done? How long? What's the time frame you guys are going to give? Because I'll give a time frame of I'll give like 2 transfer windows, 2 summer transfer windows. I think 2 summer transfer windows is enough for me to understand what their plan is. And you actually see it this season, apparently. So apparently a big driving force of Manchester United's summer transfer window, of course, is Umar Barada. And a big part of the Umar Barada thing is that Man United don't pay more than 60 million for a transfer. And that's always been a philosophy that he's had, or a rule that he's had, even when he was at Manchester City. And you think back, Manchester City did pay big prices once in a while. They paid Grealish, they brought Vardiol, etc., etc. But they didn't want to make a natural habit of spending 60 million, 60 million, 60 million on players. And apparently right now, this season, that is a big driving force for Manchester United's transfer window. Ahmed says 2 seasons. Shane says when the new manager comes in, there's no new manager coming in, bro. You gotta accept that this is the manager for the foreseeable future. Now let's speak on this guy here, just whilst we're on the topic of on the transfer window. Now, reportedly, Manchester United, outside of Manuel Ugarte, are still also looking at other midfield options with cheaper prospects, which includes Soufiane Amrabat. Now, this is coming from Sky Sports, by the way. This is all coming from Sky Sports. And there's a mention of Frankie de Jong, but I don't think it's anything of quality or of depth. But Sky Sports go on to say that United have also always had an eye on Frankie de Jong's situation in Barcelona and have been long admirers of the midfielder, who is now entering the final 2 years of his contract. Now, if you lot are following the saga or the drama that we like to say is Barcelona, stories can't write it. Honestly, stories cannot write what is happening with Barcelona right now. So I don't know if you lot follow, but let me just give you a quick lowdown. Gundogan wants to leave Barcelona. Deco, who's the sporting director at Barcelona, has approached City or Rodri to try and court him to potentially present a swap deal to Barcelona, to Manchester City, swapping Gundogan for Rodri. Manchester City took offense to that and turned around and said no. But also, by the way, whilst we're here, you guys still owe us money for Ferran Torres. So you got until the end of the month before we take legal action against you guys. Manchester City themselves, who have legal action pending starting next month, are threatening Barcelona with legal action if they do not pay the fee that they owe for Ferran Torres just because they were courting Rodri behind their back. I don't know what's wrong with Deco, by the way. And we know, by the way, what Barcelona's issue is. We know the financial problems that they have. They are possibly on the verge of triggering another lever. And the funniest thing is now, reportedly, they're interested in signing Rafael Leao, who's got 100 or something million release clause. I just don't understand who the hell runs Barcelona. I don't know who's the worst, who's run worse, Barcelona or Chelsea. I'll say Chelsea is run worse, but mainly because Barcelona won La Liga last season, or 2 seasons ago, when Xavi was in his first year. At least they got silverware for it. Chelsea are just doing nonsense everywhere. And on the topic of Chelsea, that actually leads me perfectly to this. What the hell? What are they going to do with Jadon Sancho in their team? What are Chelsea, keep sleeping on us, Mina, bro? What are Chelsea doing being linked to Jadon Sancho? Where is Jadon Sancho? Hypothetically speaking, where would he even play? Now, as somebody who I want Jadon Sancho to flourish, I don't think Chelsea is the destination for him. Just because I look at it and a team that's got 46 players already or 47 players, having another player, another winger, it just doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. But it's reported that the camp at Manchester United feel that Chelsea could be a possible destination for Jadon Sancho. Now, we've heard 2 different stuff. We've heard that Chelsea are interested in him to buy him, but we've also heard that they could also be interested in a loan. Now, they've just bought João Felix. They just brought Pedro Neto. They brought Nkunku. They're trying to get rid of Raheem Sterling. They got Mudryk. come on, guys. At what point do Chelsea say, okay, this project that we're doing is just not making any sense anymore? This project is not making sense. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Solely for Manchester United's need to sell Jadon Sancho, I'd be all for it. I'd be all for it. Yeah, if they're gonna pay 40 million, alright, cool. But as someone who wants Jadon Sancho to do well, I would not want him to go to Chelsea, because it's just a project that to me doesn't make sense. Now, I saw Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher talking about it on Monday Night Football, where Jamie Carragher was saying, like, I don't understand. He basically said Chelsea need to stop signing players, and players need to stop signing for Chelsea. And he was basically saying, as players, they're probably hearing from their agents saying, yo, like, I got a 7-year deal for you, guaranteed money, 7 years, 8 years, whatever, Chelsea. And players are like, you know what? Guaranteed money, we'll sign. We'll sign. And because the career of football is so short, right? You got 10 or so years to earn good money before it starts depreciating. But it makes logically no sense. Like right now, they've brought João Felix. He's a left winger, right? He plays on the left. He can play on the left. They got Nkunku. They got Nicholas Jackson up top. Then they have all these wingers. They got all these midfielders. And then they want to add Jadon Sancho to it. It don't make sense. Swap him for Chalobah and Carney. I think Carney's going to... Is it Burnley? He's going somewhere? He's going somewhere, either Championship or is it Ipswich or something like that? He's going somewhere. He's going somewhere. Sancho for Sterling and Chilwell. Absolutely not. Guys, come on. Super Scud, come on. Chilwell. Sterling, I don't think would ever come to United. Honestly, I don't think Sterling would ever come, just because how can bro go from Liverpool to City to Chelsea to United? Nah, I don't see it happening. I personally don't see it happening. There isn't. I wouldn't say that there's any. Is there any winger I would take at Chelsea? Nah, I wouldn't. I don't think. Unless it's Cole Palmer, I don't want anyone. If you're gonna give us Cole Palmer, I'll take it. I would take it, but that's never gonna happen. That's realistically never going to happen. Maybe I would take Malo Gusto as a right back. That's really the only two people I would look at. But if Manchester United are honestly interested in selling Jadon Sancho, they can't send him out on loan again. They cannot send him on loan again. Sancho for 25 million, plus I can never pronounce bro's name. Uguchukwu. I literally sound like I can't speak because I'm saying it so slow. Uguchukwu. I'm not gonna lie, guys. The other day, a guy came on for Chelsea, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?" I was like, "Who's that?" And then I saw a tweet saying that this season, a fan is gonna come on for Chelsea, and no one's gonna realize. They're just gonna think it's another player. If Ineos swaps Sancho for Sterling, I'm Ineos out. Yeah, I don't listen. Sterling earns a lot. Let's actually check. Let's check the Chelsea salaries. I want to see who earns what. I want to see who earns what. I want to see where Jadon Sancho would fall under in their earnings. Raheem Sterling is the second highest paid player at Chelsea, guys. Raheem Sterling is the second highest paid player. Reece James and Jadon Sancho earn the same. They earn the same. Ben Chilwell 200, Fofana 200. The thing is, from a wages perspective, from wages, they don't pay a lot, guys. Because Moises Caicedo is on 150, and I'm pretty sure Eriksen is on the same thing. Cole Palmer's on 130 after he just signed his new contract. Adebayo's on 120. And by the way, you know what makes me laugh, guys? Tosin Adebayo reportedly picked Chelsea because of the money. Now, this is just reports, right? When he joined Chelsea, he joined for to get 120 a week, and Man United were willing to pay him 80 as a rotational centre back, and he reportedly picked Chelsea because of that. Now, I heard that they're also linked to Joe Gomez. I even saw that there was links of Chelsea interested in signing Joe Gomez. Minna, Chelsea's loyalty bonuses are insane. I need to see what their salaries are saying with who's the lowest earning player. Bro, you lot are taking the piss. Who is these people? I've never seen any of the... Isn't this person from Game of Thrones? I've never seen this person in my life. and they're on 7.5k. Andre Santos, don't know who that is. Renato Viga. Petrovic is the keeper. David Fofana is the guy that I think was on loan at Burnley last year. Marcus Bettinelli. David Washington. I don't know who these players are. Look at this. Malo Gusto Lavia, they're on 45k. It's ridiculous the way that Chelsea's run. You lot know we always have to have a dig at Chelsea, by the way. But let me know your thoughts. Listen, what are you guys going to take for Jadon Sancho to Chelsea? Now, obviously, there's no guarantee. Like, we know that. There's no guarantee that he'll go to Chelsea. But we know that Chelsea could potentially be interested in him, either with a loan or with a potential sell. If, again, they'll probably not pay. I don't see them paying 40 million, but then they kind of owe us. I'm not gonna lie, guys. If Chelsea sign João Felix as a favor to Atletico for taking Conor Gallagher, then they owe us a favor for Mason Mount. They owe us a favor for Mason Mount. But what will you guys take to sell Jadon Sancho, to Chelsea in terms of either money or players? And be realistic. Please be realistic. Our wage structure is better than yours. I hear it. Man United have had a crap wage structure for 10 years. Give us a couple of years and then we'll compare. We'll come back and we'll compare wage structures between both teams. All these players signed for Chelsea for money. They don't even play. Is there anything wrong with that though? Like, again, if anything, I'm questioning the club because football is a short career in it. I'm not judging anyone for joining a club because they're getting a good price. They're getting good salary. Football's a short career. You make your money and you keep it moving. Like, again, you lot might think like, "Rah, Mina, you got bad. You've got a bad perspective of it." But it's the same reason why people are going to Saudi. It's the same reason why people back in the day were going to China. Why people are going to the MLS. Wallahi, if I was a guy and Chelsea wanted to buy me, I will join for that money. But it's just, I'm not questioning the player. I'm questioning Chelsea. I'm questioning the senior people at Chelsea making these decisions to sign these players and give them these big fees or spreading it across a long contract. That's what I'm judging them for. Had United been doing the same, I would be judging United too. I would honestly be judging United too. Chelsea are definitely getting a transfer ban. If they're doing everything the right way, and it seems like they are, you can't really pin anything on them, I think. I don't think you can pin anything. I'd sell Rashford before Sancho. Absolutely not. Thrill said, I will sell Rashford before Sancho. Guys, this Rashford thing needs to stop. Because I'm going to show you lot something. 91 goals. I need to show you lot something. Because this Rashford disrespect is ridiculous. Where is it? Can I find it? Here it is. Oh, I need a clearer version of it. You lot need to stop this Rashford disrespect. I can't bring it up on the screen because I ain't got a clear version. But basically, obviously we know Haaland hit 91 goals in 100 games in the Premier League on the weekend. Rashford is in that top 5 list, of players who have scored since Haaland joined the league. He's in the top 5. Now, obviously, the gap between him and Haaland is huge. That's a huge gap. He's got, since Haaland joined the league, and scored 91 goals in the Premier League. Mohamed Salah has scored 56. Ollie Watkins, 43. Phil Foden, 42. Marcus Rashford, 38. But in that same breath, people are saying Phil Foden's the future and Marcus Rashford is crap. How? There's 4 goal difference between them. There's 4 goals different between them. We really need to appreciate Rashford. I don't get it. I don't get how you can say I'll sell Rashford before Sancho. I think Sancho has not been in a position to thrive at Manchester United. I absolutely agree, by the way, that he's not been in a position to thrive at Manchester United. I 100% agree. I think it's been a roller coaster of a career at Manchester United. But to say that you would sell Rashford first before Sancho. Okay, guys, in the chat quickly. Who are you selling first if you had to, Rashford or Sancho? Let's just put this debate to bed. I also want to see what everyone in the chat actually thinks. And now, Mina, you need to respect us. Rashford has done what he has done with 0 league titles or UCLs. He can go do it somewhere else. I'm not arguing, by the way. I'm not arguing about Rashford, what he's achieved. I'm not arguing about, or what he hasn't achieved, sorry. What I'm arguing is to say that you would sell Sancho before you'd sell Rashford before you sell Sancho. Like, that's what my argument is. But I'm actually shocked at how balanced the chat is right now. Damn. No one in our club is capable of getting 30 goals, assists in a season. Only Bruno and Rashford has done it. This is why stats are skewed. Watch the game with your eyes. I watch the game with my eyes. Sancho has done nothing for United. I don't get it. But the chat is Rashford, Jarvis, big up Jarvis in the chat says Rashford, Sancho, Rashford, Sancho, and then Rashford immediately after Rashford. If I'm a United fan, I'm selling Rashford. Both can go. Are we picking between Sancho and Rashford? Yeah, we're picking between Sancho and Rashford. Damn, you guys are actually... Yo, I didn't expect it to be this balanced. I did not expect it to be this balanced. Ahmed saying, not a fan of Sancho antics, but I agree. Sell Rashford. Sancho, because he hasn't done much at United. Sancho, sell them both. Still thinks this is Rashford under LVG. If it was up to me, Rashford would be transfer listed immediately. Whoa. Both can go, but Sancho goes before Rashford. Sell both. Yeah, but who would you sell first? That is the question. You can't sell both. The point was, someone in the chat, who is it? Thrill said in the chat, I would sell Rashford before I sell Sancho, on the topic of selling him to Chelsea. So I just want to know if it's both, or who would go first. Do you think Sancho is the perfect example of the gulf between German and English leagues? Do average players like him drown in the Premier League? Players like Haaland are outliers and Rashford is burnt out? That is a very good question. I think all right, the only way I can put this is, had Bellingham joined a Premier League team after leaving Dortmund, do you think the trajectory of his career might have gone the same way that it's going right now, how it's going at Real Madrid? He's in Ballon d'Or talk. People are talking about him in Ballon d'Or contention after getting to the finals with England in the Euros, and then going on to do the double with Real Madrid. Do you think he would have had that same impact? You know, he was linked to Liverpool. So hypothetically speaking, if Bellingham went to Liverpool when he was linked to them, do you think the trajectory of his career would have been the same? Or would it have been a very static one where he's getting used to the league, etc.? Because I'm watching him in La Liga, and sometimes I'm like, bro looks like he didn't need any time to adapt to the league. And that's always the conversation, by the way, when players come to the Premier League, we're always talking about adapting. Oh, we need to give them time to adapt. But if they've got the qualities that the Premier League kind of requires, there's no adapting. They will get to grips with it immediately. They will be able to get to grips with it immediately. So I just think maybe Sancho doesn't have the... I don't want to say this in a bad way, but I think Sancho, I always say, by the way, I always say about Sancho, he's very unfortunate to come to United in the year that he did. I think that was the biggest hindrance for him, the summer that he came to United. Had he come a year early, it would have been totally different. But you also see him going to Dortmund on loan and finding the enjoyment for football again. And I will say as well, when it comes to football, I think a lot of players, when it comes to these kind of players, you know, like the tech kind of players, the goals kind of players, those kind of players. I'm speaking about players like Jadon Sancho that like to play football with the ball close to his feet. They have to be enjoying it. And if they're not enjoying it, then it becomes a chore. Football becomes a chore. It becomes a job. And if you know, guys, if you have a job that you don't enjoy, what happens? You dread going. You dread turning up. And I'm not speaking about Sancho. I'm just saying players in general, if they're not enjoying football, then they're not going to play well. And I think Jadon Sancho was not enjoying himself at Manchester United, because I saw a great, by the way, video, an amazing video of Tom Brady. If you don't know Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, and he was talking about the difference in, and I feel like this is applicable, by the way, to football, right? Because Tom Brady was talking about how when he went to college, he was taught basically how to be a quarterback, right? And he spent years and years. He came to the league, and then he was at New England Patriots working under Belichick. He was taught how to be a quarterback. Whereas he said nowadays, quarterbacks are taught to play in a system. And I swear that logic, you can apply it to football. Nowadays, players are being taught to play in a system, right? Whereas they're not being taught how to be the best in that position. They're being taught how to be the best in a system. And that's where I think the love of the game is kind of disappearing when it comes to particular players like Jadon Sancho in a system versus enjoying football and just being the kind of player he wants to be. I know which Jadon Sancho I want to watch. I know which Jadon Sancho I enjoy watching. It's the one that's enjoying football. And this is applicable to a lot of players, by the way. You look at Grealish. You look at Grealish, for example. An exciting player to watch when he was at Villa. Went to City, became boring as hell. Boring as hell. I saw Sancho shedding tears saying goodbye to Marco Reus. Bro felt loved at Dortmund. Def ain't those vibes at United. Again, if you're enjoying the environment you're in, that is a big part of it. I think sometimes we forget footballers are people as well. Obviously, everyone talks about, oh, but they earn this much. If I was earning that much, I'll be doing X, Y, Z. You don't know what you'd be doing until you're in that position. You would not know what you're doing. And if you're in an environment where you feel loved, you feel appreciated, I see everything Jadon Sancho does, and I don't agree with it, but everything he does on social media is under a microscope. It is under a microscope. He still has Dortmund pictures up on his Instagram. People are like, why does he still have that? He doesn't post about Manchester United match days. People are like, why is he not posting about it? He hasn't posted a picture of himself in the new Manchester United kit. Why hasn't he done that? He posts about Marco Reus going to the MLS and basically was like, congratulations. Why is he doing that? Everything he does at Man United is under a microscope, and it's kind of ridiculous sometimes. It's actually quite ridiculous sometimes. But back to the topic of football, because I think we need to focus on that. Minna, if Sancho got 10 to 15 games instead of Bruno, you'd never want to sell him. This is on Ten Hag still. Is it fully on Ten Hag? He got a fair run. Sancho was playing under Ragnick. When I think about Sancho performances, guys, you know, it's sad because I think of a few, but also one that always sticks out to me is Liverpool. Liverpool in Erik ten Hag's first season, before he disappeared, and he scored, and he sat all of them guys down. Milner, Van Dijk, all of them, he sat them down. That's what I think about Jadon Sancho at his best. And I really thought that season, after that game, I really, really thought we will see Jadon Sancho emerge for Manchester United. It's very unfortunate. I'd give Rashford this season to prove his worth. Yeah, for me, I've said this time and time again. For Marcus Rashford, and this is a big if he does not have a good season this year, United should sell him next summer. Sancho is like most players. He's built for a very specific system and is the type of player who needs an arm around him. United offered neither. Do you think it's because I feel like Man United I don't want to say it, but like coddle players. I don't know if it's coddling is the right term to use. Because you see how, like, with Erik ten Hag, we get the vibe when he talks about his expectations and standards. He's a very straight person. He's a very direct person. He's a very, like, this is why I expect, this is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is how things are going to go. And if it don't go this way, then you're out. And I feel like maybe that's not the kind of environment that people like Sancho need. And there's no harm in saying that, by the way. There is no harm in saying that. I know players, Arnott Danjuma, for example, guys. I know Arnott Danjuma. He was on loan at Spurs, and then he was on loan at Everton, right? Spurs, Conte didn't want to play him. He rotted on the bench. Everton, Sean Dyche didn't want to play him. Rotted on the bench. He returns back to Villarreal, back to his home club. He goes back to Villarreal, scores on the opening week of La Liga. The guy hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League. I think he scored once for Everton on his 1-year loan spell. And he looks like he's enjoying football again. He looks like he's happy again. Sometimes it's the environment. It's really the environment sometimes that is an important thing. United don't baby players 100%. But then people will go back and be like, oh, but look at what Sir Alex Ferguson, he dashed a boot at Beckham's head. Or he told Ruud van Nistelrooy hit the road. People will say that, but also football has changed. The football has unfortunately changed. Society has changed. The world has changed. The world has changed. Our standards have been so low that an inconsistent player like Rashford can be a cult hero. Calling him a cult hero is mad. Sancho played 41 games under Ten Hag's first season, so that's nonsense. If we are very honest, Sancho is a great player, but he lacks the physicality and speed of play to play well in the Premier League consistently. Do you guys agree? Do you guys agree that Sancho just lacks the qualities required to thrive in the Premier League? Because I look at other Premier League teams and I think, what other team could Jadon Sancho go to that we could see that Jadon Sancho at Dortmund again? What team in the Premier League right now do you think he could go to and you would think, yeah, he's going to be a starter, but not only is he going to be a starter, he's going to make a consistent difference to the team? Like, I'm not going to lie, Chelsea, you see the picture here? That don't make sense to me. That does not make sense to me. But also, I think as a player, you have to have that burn, that fire in you to have that. And when you don't have the fire for it for so long, it's difficult to get it back. And by the way, guys, a life lesson. That is applicable to anything in life. Can I say that? It is applicable. When you lose today, I'm committed. I'm doing daily streams. I want my channel to grow. I want to create content, enjoyable content. But the second that I lose the fire for it and I lose the thrill of it, the longer that I stop, and I decide, you know what, I'm not going to stream anymore. I'm not going to post anymore. I'm not going to stream. I'm not going to post. The longer I do that for, the harder it is to get back into it. And that is applicable to any aspect in your life, including football. I feel like once you lose the excitement of playing the game, you'll just want to be like, you know what? Money have you make. I'm off to Saudi. Or I'm off to Qatar. Apparently Qatar is on the come up for football right now. And they're trying to snatch 1 or 2 footballers here and there from Europe. So that is another avenue for players. For me, that's the most important thing. When you come into sudden wealth, it's hard to stay motivated. I couldn't say whether that's true or not because unfortunately I haven't come into wealth. Mina trying to go Qatar early. Listen. I can't talk too much. That's all I have to say. I can't talk too much. I don't want Sancho to leave though. Our attack is already light as it is, Mina, and lack enough quality. You know what? I always say this, yeah? Parts of me never wanted Sancho to leave. I want Sancho to leave to do well for himself. That's it. Like, I'm just tired of this notion that Manchester United ruins players. I wouldn't want Sancho to do that. I don't want Sancho to be an example of another one that is being ruined by Manchester United. And that's why I was pushing for him to go to Dortmund. I was pushing for him to go Juve. Chelsea is where I draw the line. Chelsea's where I draw the line. But I'm pushing for him to leave and go and enjoy football again, because for far too long, Manchester United was deemed as this club that ruined people. And Sancho has maybe fallen victim to it, but also fallen victim to his own shortcomings. And if I want a player to do well, I would want it at my team. But if that's likely not going to happen, then go and thrive elsewhere. Go and thrive elsewhere. It takes a different type of mentality to push yourself to get up and do something even when you don't have the motivation, because you always have that drive. Facts. 100% facts. And that's applicable to anyone, by the way. It's not just him. Like, I'm looking at Luke Shaw, and I'm thinking bro's lost all his inspiration. Bro is comfortable. He is comfortable where he is because he knows people ain't going to be onto him like that. He knows people are not going to be onto him like that. This is a sight for sore eyes, honestly. When I saw this picture, I said, this is a sight for sore eyes. Jadon Sancho, outside of the Chelsea... Nah, I'm good. I hope that if he does leave Man United, like I've said time and time again, it's not Chelsea, because Chelsea is a destination for me that just does not make any any sense. But just quickly on this, where can I drag this up? On the topic of Luke Shaw, anyways. On the topic of Luke Shaw, Manchester United are not looking to sign any more fullbacks for the rest of the window. They've decided against the possibility of pursuing a left back, which means the 4 guys you see in front of you, plus Harry Amas as a 5th option, will be Manchester United fullbacks for the season. Now, Man United reportedly are aware that Luke Shaw is expected to return soon. Malacia could be expected to be back. I think it's like the end of the year, so the end of 2024. We might see him back again. And I also saw a report today that reportedly PSV were interested in Malacia but have chosen against getting him because of the injury and all of that kind of stuff. Now, out of all these guys, I think Dalot, inshallah, God willing, can stay fit. I think he can stay fit. And I think Nazir Mazraoui can stay fit as long as he doesn't overwork his body a bit too much. I think when I used to watch him a lot, I watched him obviously at Ajax and Bayern Munich, but the most exposure I've had to Nazir Mazraoui is when I've been watching the Morocco national team. And there was once or twice that he would come off during international break or maybe at tournaments and he'd come off to injury. If he can avoid that happening, I think Manchester United could avoid a possibility of this decision biting them in the arse. Now it's October. I think Malacia is back in 2 months. Okay, that's even better. That is even better. Shaw is never going to play 20 games in a row. Is it safe to say, guys, that the future fullbacks for United is Dalot on the left and Mazraoui on the right? Because I'm all for that. I am all for it. If both of them are fit and are 100% available to play, give me Mazraoui at right back and give me Dalot at left back. Let them interchange during the game and do all those nice little fancy stuff. But I'm happy with Luke Shaw being phased out of the team and sold. I'm happy with Malacia potentially being a bench option. I am absolutely okay with that. I'm okay with United possibly next summer signing another backup option or having Harry Amas coming into the first team. Now, my only worry is if United end up with 3 out of 4 of these guys' injuries, what the hell happens then? What the hell happens then? I think what could possibly happen is maybe Licha goes left back. I can imagine that happening. What happens when Mazraoui gets injured? I think Licha will go left back. I think there's more possibility that Lisandro Martinez will go to left back than Anthony playing at left back or left wing back. I think that's going to be the most likely outcome for both. I also am hopeful that next summer Manchester United will go into the market and sign more players. I'm also hopeful that next summer Manchester United will be able to sell more players. They'll be able to get Harry Maguire off the books. They'll be able to get Luke Shaw off the books. They will be able to potentially make savings in Scott McTominay's salary if he remains at Manchester United this season. They'll be able to make savings in other areas. They might decide next summer that they go on to sell Marcus Rashford. And if they do sell Marcus Rashford, we know that's 100% profit from an FFP perspective. But I also think that you lot have said it as well in the chat. I can see United playing a back three. And maybe I see it's more likely for Anthony to play a left wing back than it would be for him to play as a left back. I think it's more likely for him to be left wing back and Dalot right wing back. But what does that mean? That means someone gets dropped. Also, that would potentially mean, I don't know if you lot would be against this possible formation, but say Man United play a back three and they play Anthony left wing back and they play Dalot right wing back and they decide to drop, I don't know, Marcus Rashford, and they decide to play Højlund and Xerxes as a top 2, and then they decide to play Bruno in the 10 and 2 midfielders. Is that something that people would be against? Because I'm all for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag trying out new stuff to see what could possibly work in that situation. But also, I just hope that the decision not to sign another left back this window doesn't come back to bite United. And I said it earlier in the stream, so I'm just going to repeat it again. I also think that decision has stemmed from the fact that there's probably no urgency to sell Scott McTominay. I think selling Scott McTominay would have freed up the funds for Manchester United to sign a new left back. But because they're not going to do that, or because there's no urgency to do that, I think Manchester United are now in a position where they feel like if we sell Scott, we sell him. And if we don't sell him, then we'll keep him. And because of that, there's no room to sign a new fullback. And that's why I'm always been under the impression that Man United have had funds available for Manuel Ugarte, whether it's this loan with obligation to buy or they've had like 40 million aside for him. I think they've always had that budget to do that. But it's going to be very interesting to see, I guess, the next 10 days. Next week is definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm really hoping maybe by the end of the week we get a here we go for Ugarte. I don't know. When do you guys think United could get that done? I'm trying to think. Maybe next week. We need a here we go for Ugarte. Facts. I think that's the thing that's holding United back so much. A part of me thinks Friday we could get a here we go. Thursday we could get a here we go. And a part of me thinks we might actually get one after the Brighton game. If United are in no rush to get this move done. I think the quicker they get him in, the quicker he can train with the team, the quicker he's available as an option. I think there will be a deadline day deal. I definitely think, I think there will only be a deadline day. Flipping out, that's a tongue twister. Deadline day deal if there's something surprising that happens, like maybe an injury or something. They might be forced into that. What games are you planning on playing on your new channel? So what I'm planning to do on my new channel, if you guys have not, please, it takes 2 seconds. Go over, subscribe. It's the pinned comment in the chat right now. It's called Mina Gaming HQ. I'm going to do a lot of gaming stuff. So all my Elden Ring stuff, all my EAFC stuff, all my Call of Duty stuff, all my NBA stuff, all my clips from all of those games, I'm going to edit it and put it on there. I just want to keep this channel football related. So maybe I might do EAFC streams here, maybe. But anything that's not football related, I'm going to do it there. And a lot of stuff that I'm going to post that relates to gaming will come on there. So like I will be going, inshallah, God willing, to the EAFC launch. I got a lot of stuff planned for that event with EA. So a lot of the things, I'm going to put some on this channel, but I'm also going to put it on that channel. So that channel is all stuff gaming. And it's an alternative avenue for me, especially because a lot of you lot don't use Twitch. Amrabat will be the deadline signing if Ugarte falls through. Nah, I don't want that. I don't want that. Me, the person that's been supporting Amrabat all of last season and saying that he deserved the chance. I don't want that to happen, personally. Now, just on the topic of Chelsea, before we wrap it up, reportedly, and this is coming from reports in Portugal, guys. Reports in Spain have suggested that the total package that Chelsea will be paying for João Felix is 76 million euros. How does that make sense? honestly, how does that make sense? I just don't. Every day that they do stuff, fake. Do you think it's fake? It's coming from Sport, which is a sporting outlet in Spain. But that is ridiculous. Ornstein, yeah. I know Ornstein said it was like 40-something, 46 million or something like that. But apparently the total overall package is that. Does anybody know when the Europa League draw is going to happen? When is Europa League draw? When is the draw for Europa League? Let me see. There's no information about the draw. Oh, it's the league table system, right? There's no draw. When's the final? Let me make sure I'm off. 21st of May. I'm going to make sure I'm free that day. Because United are going to the final of the Europa League. Mina, Chelsea are speed running, spending 2 billion as that was the condition of the sale. What? The condition of their sale of the club was that they had to spend 2 billion in a certain time period. Nah. You know what? The UK government effed Chelsea over. Honestly, if I was a Chelsea fan, I would be so anti-government right now. I would be so anti-government. Same teams in Europa League are Man United, Roma, Atletico Bilbao, Lazio, Frankfurt, Tottenham, Sociedad, Porto. Who's the most difficult to potentially face? Keep me away from Sociedad. Keep me away from Bilbao. Keep me away from them too. Everyone else I wouldn't mind. Frankfurt, Roma, Spurs, Porto. Lazio, yeah, any Spanish team, keep me away from any Spanish team. Just because United and Spanish teams in European competitions, we don't go well together, guys. We don't go well together. We're getting a transfer ban soon. Chelsea are. I feel bad for Chelsea fans, honestly. Honestly, that is very unfortunate for Chelsea fans. But hey, shit happens. Excuse my language. But shit happens. But big up to everyone. Listen, how many likes did we get? We got to 130 likes. If you are watching this back, guys, be sure to hit the like button. You guys know the rules all the time here. If there is any news, if we get a here we go today, I will be live. It's very unlikely, but I'm letting you guys know I'll be live. So make sure you turn on your post notifications so when I go live, you get notified. Make sure you guys subscribe to my new channel. It's the pinned comment in the chat. I will still be posting on this channel, obviously, but that is just my second channel. So make sure you lot go ahead and subscribe to that as well. If you want to join the Minions Gang, aka the membership club, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get everything that a member would get. And of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. And if you want to support the channel in alternative ways, you can by liking, by subscribing, or by sending in super chats. Now, I am like 250 or less away from 6k. So you know what, guys? Inshallah, God willing, we might actually get there by the end of the month. We actually might get there by the end of the month. But like I said, guys, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow, inshallah, with the daily dose of Minna. And if we get any news between then and now, I'll be live. You don't know what it is. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Tuesday, there's no football, by the way. I don't think there's any football now. So I enjoy whatever you get up to. I'm off to go on a 1 hour walk. I need to get my steps in. I can't be sitting at this chair 24/7. I'm out, guys. Peace.